Hey guys. Well, today I'm going to be working on the contact page, and I'm going to show you how to do a simple form, and we're going to kind of configure it a little bit. I don't know how much configuration we're going to do, if I'm just going to kind of leave it as a contact page, but we'll see. I do want to change the background image here, so I think that's the way I'm going to start. So I am going to create a new selector, and I'm going to call this header background, BKG for short, and I'm going to say contact. Remember, I have to have that period in front. So I'll hit enter. And now what I'm going to do, in order to kind of make this easier on myself, is I'm actually going to go into my base CSS, and I'm going to look for that, the one that I did for the home page. Let me see if I can find it. Background header. So I'm going to copy this right here, because I want the same settings. And I mean, I could go through and do it again, but you know, realistically, I don't need to if I don't want to. The only thing that I need to do is to make sure that I change this header image. So I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to go to background, and I'm going to I didn't mean to delete it, but I'm going to use this one right here, and I'll hit open. And again, I just used the same settings that I had from the first one that we did on the index page. Now what I need to do is to make sure that I'm going to save this. I'm going to click right here, and you see where it says background header? I am going to undo that, and I'm going to add header background contact. Okay, so now I've got a different image in the background, and I didn't have to really do anything. I could come in here and say something like, please, let's see. That didn't really kind of change anything. Let me go into the source code. I'm going to select this text, and I'll just do something like, please let us know if we can help in any way. We've got operators standing by. Okay, so there, the header is basically done. Okay, now that we have the header done, let's start with creating a form. Now, a fair warning here, Dreamweaver has changed the way they do it. So I'm going to go, I don't know, slower than what I have been going in the past, just to make sure that I don't make any mistakes. Okay, go ahead and put your cursor in between the div tags that for the content area, and we're going to do another div. And the reason for that is because I may want to put another div that has some text in it. So I want one that is a wrapper, one that is a form, and if I need to, I'll put another one in for text. It's just a little bit easier to do it this way than to say, oh, wow, I should have done X or Y. So I'm going to go in and insert div, no class, I'll hit OK, and now I'm going to put my cursor in between. I'm going to delete that text and put my cursor in between the div, and I'm going to go up into insert, down to form, And the first thing that we want to do is just to create a form. It has no elements in it or anything, but it is what the form is going to do. Like for example, if it was a search engine, when you click the button to submit your search, the form is what tells the browser what to do. Even though you don't see it, it seems like the submit button is what does it, but it's not. The submit button is just saying, okay, the form is done, now go do what the form is supposed to do. So I'm going to add a form in, and you'll notice here that we have a closing and an opening tag. Everything that goes into the form, we're going to be working with an email form. All of the elements in that email form have to be in between the form tags. Otherwise, the browser doesn't know what to do. The form also, like I was saying, it tells the browser what to do when somebody clicks on a button. So I've selected the form. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit refresh. Make sure you're in properties and not the designer. And this is what the form will do. This is the action. So you have to have an action for every form. Ours is going to be the most simple possible. Now, you could have, say, a script somewhere that when all the information is filled out and somebody clicks submit, the browser will send it to a different location based on the scripting. Our situation is just to do email, and it's going to open up your email client. Okay, again, ours is very simple. When you actually have server-side languages, that's when it gets a little bit more complicated. But still, the action is going to be very simple. It's just going to name the script that it needs to go to. So our action is mail to. It's MAILTO, all lowercase, and a colon. The address that you put in is where you want the mail to be sent to. I'm going to send it to kcurtis@peru.edu. Now when somebody clicks the submit, whatever in our form objects, and we haven't added any yet, there isn't anything to send, but when they click submit, our email client is going to open up, and depending on how we have it configured, the subject may be already in, it could be all sorts of different things, but it's going to email that information to me. Now, this right here, the method, you have two choices. You have post and get, and certain forms need one or the other. For our purposes, I would do post. Now, I have run into problems doing post with the mail to form, but it seems to be the most, it doesn't fail as much. Now, understand that every browser is a little bit different, so you can get different results. But if you use post, like I tell you here, and it doesn't work, before you start worrying about the form itself, just come in and change the form to get. You would just go to get. Now, I'm pretty sure you won't have any problems, but there's a possibility you might. The last thing that I want you to put in is we're going to do the type of encryption. And you might, somewhere down the line, say, load a script. There's free email forms that you can get. In fact, you can actually go online and configure an email form with the scripting and everything in it. And technically that's, I wouldn't say it's the best way, but it's the better way. The reason for that is because the email address in our code is going to be accessible. Like, just go ahead and look here. See where it says mail to kcurtis@peru.edu. When this is online, there are bots that just kind of scour the web. It goes from website to website to website. And bots are these little programs that look for email addresses. And when they find an email address, they store it, and then you get spam. Okay? Now, when you download or you get a different type of email form, and I say different type because you can actually get, you can go to websites and they will allow you to download a form and stuff like that. Chances are it's going to be encrypted, so you'll never see the email address in the source code. It will be in the server and nobody can see it. It's a lot safer. You also might have the option of encrypting it. You'll notice here we have URL encoded, multi-part form data. We're just going to leave it basic text. So I'm going to type in text/plain. Again, you wouldn't want to do this for a client or for a site that you're putting up. You could. I mean, I know people that have done it and they don't run into any problems. It's just, it's less secure, and there's always a possibility that you're going to get spam because they bot found your email address. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do right now on here. You know, character set, we could do UTF-8s. I think default is going to be okay. All right, so I'm going to move back over here and you can see how it's been set up. I'm going to come down here and just for the visual aspect of it, I'm going to give it a little bit of extra space so that we can kind of see what's happening. Normally we wouldn't put this extra space in, but I'm going to go into Insert, Form, and I'm going to do Text. And basically, there's a text box that opens up here. And this, when a browser comes, this will be a box where somebody can put text into. Now, we have to do more than just have the box. We have to have more information. So we're going to start with size. Let's go to size first. Now, whenever you're determining the size of text boxes or text frames or stuff like that, the size is based on the character. If I were to put 50 characters here, and this is what I'm going to choose, this text box is going to go to 50 characters. And you can see how it's stretched out. Now, I may have it at 50 characters, but the length can be forever. I mean, it's as big as the browser will let it be. So we don't really want something that somebody could copy and paste whatever they wanted to into our form. So let's limit that to 65. Now, you know, that's also quite a bit. Okay, now that we have this text box, let's give it a label. I'm going to come in here into my text area and I'm going to type in a label tag. So I'm going to less than, and I'm going to do LABEL FOR, do equals. Now this has to be the same spelling that you did on your ID. So I'm going to do FIRSTNAME. If you capitalized anything, now you don't want to have spaces in your ID at all. But if you did, then make sure that you have those spaces. And then I am going to close this out. And I'm going to type in Y-O-U-R, first name, and then I'm going to close that label. So just like you closed out all the other tags. And you can see right here what's happened. Now, one of the things you might want to do is give it an extra space. It's up to you. You can also, there's an extra space as well. You can use Shift Command space. And you can see it's a non-breaking space right here. And this, you'll notice when you hit the space bar in the code, you can hit the space bar as much as you want, but when you look at the actual what's happening on the design, you're only getting one space. There are times where you want double spaces and things like that, and this is what you have to add into your code to get that extra space. Okay, so technically I have two spaces here. I have one because we're given one. You know, you can hit the space bar, but if I keep hitting the space bar, it's not going to change. If I want more than just one space, I will put the non-breaking space. Okay, so that's the first one. Now we need to do the second one. And I think I'm going to do a break here. Remember BR? If I hit enter, that's a break. It's a line break. Okay, so now let's move on to our next text frame or text box. And that's going to be our last name. So I put my cursor here. I put a break in, and I'm going to go into Insert, Form, Text. And you can see it's dropped down to the next line. Now if I hit refresh right here, you can see the properties, but this is, make sure that you select the input box. All right, size, I think we did 50, and I think I did 65 for the max and 50 for the size. Kind of messed up there. Make sure that I've got everything in here. Input type, text. Let's put name is last name. Hit enter. And now let's go in and put the label in for the last name. And I'm just going to copy what I've done here. Command C. After the break, I'm going to go Command V, and I'm going to change where it says the first name, any indication of first name, I'm going to change to last name. And your last name. Our next form object is to be a text box, something that somebody can type in multiple amounts of lines of text. So I put my cursor after the last one. I'm going to create a break. So BR. I'm going to come down. And again, you don't have to put the breaks in. I just put it so it's going to go below it. There's more things that we can do to get what we want. This is just one way, and it's the first way. It just lets me kind of look at it the way I envision it. So I'm going to go to Insert, Form Object, and Text Area. Now a lot of this is exactly the same. I'm going to click on the text area. The rows I'm going to put at 50, and the columns, how wide it is, I'm going to put at 50. Actually, I don't need 50, seems way too much. I should do Let's do 5. Max length, let's put it at 255. It could be anything. Name, I'm going to put name. I'm going to put at message body. Now I'm kind of making sure here that I'm getting what I want it to be. Now let's do the label again. I'm going to come over here, Command V, and I'm going to change this to message body. You got to spell it exactly the way that you put it in before. And I'm going to put comments here. Okay. All right. Doesn't look very good, but this is what I'm going after. Next one, I'm going to do another break. So I'm going to a BR. Going to hit enter, give myself a little bit of space. Again, you don't necessarily have to do this, but it just helps me form it. And I'm talking and trying to see what I'm doing, making sure I'm not making any huge mistakes. So it helps me, so it's broken up from the rest of the text. Now I'm going to go up into Insert, Form, and we're going to go to Button, Submit Button. You can see where it says Submit here. I'm going to click on this, and I want, I'm going to do value send. I don't think I have to do anything else. Let's give this a test. Okay, let's just see. I will file. Okay, we have all the elements in here. I'm going to do Ken Curtis. This is a test of the form, and I'll click on send. Okay, and this is what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to close this out. It's going to K Curtis at Peru. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. There's a couple of things that we can still play around with, but what my goal was just to get you to see how you do the forms. Now, you can do more than just what we've done here. If you wanted to, you could add check boxes in. The thing is that I want you to keep it very simple. Once you get to a point where you understand how to do this form right here, all the elements that you need are in here. So once you understand this, then you can move on to other things. Okay, I'm gonna break it off right now. I'll probably come back with another video on how to configure this to make it look better. But right now, I just want to make sure that I get this form one up. All right, thanks guys.